For USCFsales.com, I'm Steve Lopez with another how-to video about ChessBase 11. A couple of videos back, we created a new database on a specific opening. We searched for all the games of the Caro-Kann Advanced variation that were in Mega Database 2011 and copied them into a separate database, which you see here. There's the icon for it, Caro-Kann Advanced. How do you create an opening book from a database? For example, I have games here on the Caro-Kann Advanced. Let's say I want to create a statistical opening tree on the Caro-Kann Advanced so I can see how well each variation, each move in each variation does statistically. How do you do that in ChessBase 11? It's actually really easy, and I'm going to show you how to do that. There's a couple different ways to start the process. I'll show you both ways. One's a little bit tougher. Go to the application menu, select new, and select database. Even though we're creating an opening book, an opening tree, and not a database, you still need to go to the new database command. There's also a shortcut. If you have the home menu selected in the database desktop, if you go to the database portion of the ribbon, you'll see a button that says new. You can click that as well. Click it, and you get the Windows File Select dialog. Allows you to create a database anywhere on your hard drive, actually anywhere on any drive in any folder. This time is defaulted to where I actually want it to be. ChessBase Books, that's just where I want to put it. The thing you need to remember is if you create an opening book, remember what folder you put it in. It's important because you can use these in Fritz as well, or Ribka, or whichever of our playing programs you happen to have. But you need to remember where the file is. So put it in a folder where you know where it's at. I'm going to use ChessBase Books because that's what it is after all. The default is to create a database, *.cbh. You need to change that. We're going to create an opening tree, a statistical tree instead. Click on this little arrow to expand that view. That Save as Type is actually a pull-down menu. Click on the arrow, and you'll see down here, Books, and in parentheses *.ctg. That's what you want. You want to create a book. So select it. You'll see new database.cbh changed to new database.ctg. You want to change the name to something a little more relevant. In this case, since it's about the Caro-Kann, I will create one called CK Defense. Once you've typed the name in, the file name you want it to appear as, click Create New. And just that quick, you have an icon for it on your database desktop. ckdefense.ctg. And it's got this lovely little picture of a bonsai tree there. You can change this icon, by the way. I don't know why you'd want to. It looks like a tree. You know it's a tree. But if you want to, you can right-click, select Properties, and I can change the name. Instead of ckdefense.ctg, I can just write, we'll just say Caro-Kann. And since it's the advanced variation, we'll just put Caro-Kann Advanced. Click OK. Still looks like a tree, but now it has a little more descriptive name. Now we have a database called Caro-Kann Advanced and an empty tree. In fact, if you double click on it, it'll show you there's nothing in it. There are no moves here. How do you get the games, the moves from Caro-Kann Advanced into the Caro-Kann Advanced tree? Very simple. Left click on the database, hold the mouse button down, the left mouse button, drag this over to the picture of the tree, and then let off the left mouse button, and you'll see this dialog appear. Games are the number of games you want to import, the number of games in that database. Length is important. What length refers to here is the number of moves, but it's done a little bit differently than what you might expect. This actually, for the 20 here, refers to half moves. If you play a 10-move game with your opponent, you've actually made 20 moves. Each of you has made 10 moves. That's what this 20 refers to. So to get, let's say you want to create an opening tree that goes 12 moves deep for each player. 12 moves for white, 12 moves for black. You'd actually have to make length 24. If you make it say 12, it's only going to be 6 moves deep for each side. This is the total number of moves, not moves the way we typically think of it in a chess game where you say I played a 40-move game. Typically it's going to be a 79 or an 80-move game. Under length, you have two options up here. There's two radio buttons, and I'll explain them. If you select absolute length, every variation in that opening tree is going to be 12 moves long for each player. 25 or 24 plies, or 12 moves. 12 moves long for each player, 12 for white, 12 for black. If you instead select ECO relative length, what ChessBase will do is it'll truncate, it'll shorten variations that are very seldom played. It'll cut all the little oddball sideline openings, it'll cut them off, so there won't be quite as long. If there's a strange opening that's only played one time in those 6,000 games, it might cut it off, say, 6 moves deep for each player. So the choice is yours. Do you want the software to cut off the strange sidelines that aren't often played, and the main lines will be longer variations, or do you want to make it absolute length? Every variation is going to be exactly 12 moves long for white and black. I'm going to select absolute length, but the choice is yours. Then you have include variations. If you have a database that does include annotated games, if there are additional games in the variations, it will include those games. The risk you run with include variations is sometimes you will get a player annotating a game that will put in a variation that has nothing whatsoever to do with the opening in question. And you will sometimes, like if instead of making the E4, E5 move to define the Caro-Kann advanced variation, the player may show some other Caro-Kann variation as part of the annotations. So you may get variations in there that are not the opening that you're looking for. Again, it's up to you whether or not to include the variations in the statistical tree. I'm going to check it, and then I'm going to click OK. And ChessBase will now work and put the tree together. And what we have here now is a finished tree. We'll double click on it, and there we have it. There's our tree, E4, C6. I'm going to go through just the main line moves. And notice, when we get to 12, there's 11, white's 12, black's 12, we're done. Every variation, assuming that the games are 12 moves long or longer, every variation in this tree will be at least 12 moves long. Notice also that because I included variations, it also includes the commentary symbols. If an annotator gave a move some sort of a diacritical mark or an evaluation mark, they will appear in the book as well. If you don't check include variations, you won't get these marks in here. That's how you create an opening book. It's very simple. It's just a question of dragging and dropping one database onto an opening tree. If you created a database on a particular opening previously, as we did several videos back, you can just drag and drop it onto an icon for an empty tree and populate that tree with these moves. There's other things you can do with the tree. One of the main things you want to do is look at these statistics. We're going to explore that the next time in our next video, as well as another cool trick of what you can do with an opening tree, an opening book that you create in ChessBase 11. Until then, for USCFsales.com, I'm Steve Lopez. Thank you for watching.